Hello and welcome everyone, my name's Capcan and today I've had an interesting thought experiment. So, do you think Path of Exile 2 will change your life? And will it be to the best or to the worst? And I want you to ask yourself a couple of questions that in my opinion are crucial for you to understand will Path of Exile 2 will be a good or a bad influence on your life. So, okay, let's start from number 1. Do you use build guides from other people? The question number 2 is, do you like to farm the same map over and over and over? Then question 3 will probably be, do you like changes whenever something gets nerfed or something gets buffed and there are a lot of meta fluctuation, builds are not the same, things are not the same and you are unfamiliar with everything? Or do you like more of a I have my cozy build, I always play it, or maybe I play like 2-3 different builds and I hate it whenever things are getting nerfed. Now, number 4 is, do you love to run campaign? Do you love interesting parts of the campaign? Maybe you like to I don't know, explore all the maps, or do you run as fast as possible every single location and try to beat that sweet like 5 or 6 or 4 hours of a campaign first playthrough on the first character without anything, and you're playing the most meta campaign build that you can possibly do? And then probably the last question will be is, do you like a gameplay where you are just this giant headhunter buffed character, or anyway, or maybe with mage blood, it doesn't really matter? Do you like it whenever you are just running on 10,000 movement speed through the map, you speed clearing everything in like 2 seconds, you get a ton of divines, maybe a couple of mirrors here and there, maybe yet again some mage blood or some apothecary will drop here and there? Do you prefer that experience to slow, grindy gameplay for somewhat of a okayish rewards, maybe like 5 to 10 to 15 Ks throughout the map, and you're like, yeah, that's fine with me, I'm here just to enjoy myself and to play with this build? Which type of experiences would you prefer to have? Even maybe you never really played with mage blood and you never really zoomed through the map as fast, but you want to do that, and this is your dream in Path of Exile. And these questions, in my opinion, are gonna be somewhat indicative of whether you would like Path of Exile 2 or you would not, because it will change quite a lot from what we do have in the game currently. The game will not be the same for sure, and it will have a lot of major different principles. Like zoominess of it all, like pushing a lot of different buttons to clear everything. And even though it will not be as slow as we've seen on many different gameplay show offs on all the parties that GGG hosted, I do think that it will change, and it not will change, it is designed for another type of people. Path of Exile 1, if you maybe you were following some statistics in terms of its player base, in terms of its popularity, it kind of stagnated for the last 4 years. Since Betrayal League and close to that, the numbers of player base attending every single league launch were quite similar, and they were not as drastically changed. So there were some growth here and there. You had like some extra maybe 20, 30, 40% of people playing on and off, and it maybe have like this 5 to 10% growth overall through each league, but it was nothing like it was a big change in the game. It's not like the game became faster, the game became a lot more like casual friendly, you may say, or you may not say, in terms of all the different content that is present in the game and that you need to learn whenever you're entering the game. But just in general, the game, it was evolving all these years. It was changing very, very heavily. The game nowadays is nothing like the game that was in Betrayal, but the numbers of players are kind of the same, which presents with this interesting thing, in my opinion. Many people who enjoyed slower pace of the game left, and many people who enjoy this faster play style of the game, softcore trade, tons of divines, became familiar with the game. They've started playing it, and now they are the primary player base of this game. And the first game is in an interesting spot of just not really having any place to grow that much. Even if you will put a lot of effort and a lot of your development powers into developing this game and making it better and better and better, most of the people who know the genre, or at least knows games in general, they probably heard about Path of Exile. They've tried to play it, maybe even, and they were stopped by either complexity, a lot of things in the game, just not knowing what to do whenever you're starting out with the whole and whenever you're trying to even watch a guide, you need a guide to know what the guide says, the second one guide says. So the game is quite complex, and it is not really friendly to new people, and it has a stigma. It has a stigma that it is a difficult game, and whenever people see the end game, if you were to ask anyone who plays normal games like Skyrim or maybe God of War or Doom, if you were to ask them what happens on the screen when there's some mage blood or headhunter character flowing through the map and killing everything in an instance, and the character grows 10 times in its height, and then and it's just like epileptic trash going on the screen. It's not really appealing image either. So the people who may have tried Path of Exile, maybe would have tried it, they look at the game and they see like, okay, so low levels are very slow and kinda you don't really understand what you're doing, and they are slow, and the textures of maps of locations in first acts don't really look that good, and you're using one skill, and it's kind of not okay. And then he sees the end game, and the end game just looks like an epileptic toilet, and they say like, yeah, I'm not gonna play this game. So Path of Exile 2 is for people who have this stigma on the first game that it will not be like that, or at least they will feel it will feel somewhat otherwise. And I do think that both end game and early game would feel rather different, and they would at least be visually more appealing and more consistent, because early game and late game of Path of Exile 1 is very different, and it's just like you're playing two different games in terms of pace, in terms of everything that's going on the screen, in terms of numbers of monsters, in terms of numbers of things that are dropping. And PoE 2 will probably be way more consistent in all those terms. You will not have as boring and slow gameplay on the start of the game, and you will not have as epileptic gameplay on the end game. And for people who love first part of the game, first game, of course, there are a lot of different styles that people like to play through the game. There are a lot of different modes. There are, of course, SSF, hardcore, softcore. There are some people who play Ruthless, but that mode is a very controversial one in the community. And Path of Exile 2 will, of course, have all of them too, but it will cater to some parts of the first game's player base way more than to the other ones. And with all the different changes that are made to itemizations, for example, for items to have less mods, for those mods to be more impactful, it's all for the clarity and for the understandability of other people. Path of Exile 2 feels and looks way more appealing to a regular person who never touched PoE in general, who is not as familiar with that epileptic gameplay loop of the end game, just going through the map in 50 or 30 seconds on a character that rushes through screens and kills monsters in kilometers away from them. It's more made for those people to make the game understandable and to make the game like visually clear, and to improve the clarity, what's even going on, and which abilities people do use, and this is why all the gameplay trailers of the second game were on lower levels, because I understand that there will be all that clutter in the end game, maybe a bit less than it was in the first game, but there will still be all that craziness in terms of different projectiles flowing off, explosions and stuff. But this is a clear indication with the trailers and why they are showing you all the first acts where characters are more slow, but they already have all those different skills. They use all these like combos and stuff. This is for the game to look adequate in the eyes of an average person, and for them to be enticed to at least try it out, to see that the items in the game are not as complex, and it's not like a small book in the game where you need to look all the modifiers on it. What will happen with talent tree? It will probably stay the same. It will scare a lot of people anyways. But just in general, all the other directions of the game, they are clearly specified for some type of people, and that's why on many different trailers, whenever in recent leagues, whenever there's like an announcement for some additional information on PoE2, and then after that goes trailer for League of Path of Exile 1, the vast majority of Twitch chat in an official broadcast and on unofficial broadcasts of other streamers is whenever Path of Exile 2 plays, they all go like, boring, please skip it, go to the trailer of the next league, oh no, PoE2 badge. It's like they're falling asleep by looking at the footage, and especially whenever someone from a developer team starts talking about what is support gem, what is skill gem, you understand that it's not for those people, and it's mostly not for the people who are playing PoE1, because quite a big majority of those people are people who truly enjoy the epileptic grind of the same map for tons of divines, or at least they strive to have that in their experience. And that's why I do think that PoE2 will change your life quite significantly if you're not part of that group. Because if you're part of that group, there is a quite high possibility, quite high chance for you to still playing PoE1 after PoE2 releases, just because it has that turbo interesting type of a gameplay, somewhat of a niche type of a gameplay for a specific audience. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you're having a good time. Bye.